sound at the end. I never noticed that before.
Oh yeah.
How you doing?
Hello, hello,
Happy
hello.
Water Cooler Wednesday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's another Water Cooler Wednesday, and we are so excited to be here today to talk to you guys.
Yes, we are. That's what
Let
we
me
love
see.
to do.
There we go.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Now we're right next to each other.
Right. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was before, but it was a little different. It was
it
big.
was like you was in my personal space. Like
I'm like, why
now
we
you
look
ain't in
so
my
close?
personal space no more. So now I'm good.
Yes, 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 yes. I was in your room.
Right. That's what it was like. This feels better. I can move around my arms. So if I want to dance and I can still do it.
Right. You still got the space to make your moves.
Exactly.
Hey
All right.
guys. Oh Lordy. I don't know if you hear Brutus, but
I don't know if you
somebody
hear my granddaughter. She happy about it being, well, it's not quite Taco Tuesday. I guess it's leftover Taco Wednesday.
oh okay. Right. So this is it. This is what happened when you go live. Everybody
When you
got something to
live.
say. Except for the people that can really is supposed to be talking. So
That's
but
usually how it happens. Yep.
yes, yes, yes. So, but hey, everyone, we're here. It's another Water Cooler Wednesday, and we are so excited to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central
Central time.
Standard Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And my name is Dion Branch, and I am with Allure Dream Homes, broker by EXP. And my brokerage, what we like to do is we like to hold your hand throughout the whole home buying process, make sure that things are easy for you. And we work with different people to make that process happen. And Lisa is one of the people that we work with.
Oh yeah, I am. And they refer to me as a house money mama because I'm the mama that's got the money for your house. So I'm with Nexa Mortgage, where we are brokers and we have all the options that you could possibly need. And today we're going to be talking about how we demystify the mortgage pre-approval, that coveted letter that everybody wants. Like, oh.
Yes.
So it's no longer going to be a mystery. And you know what I thought about earlier today was you remember Bozo? Do you remember the
Mhm.
Bozo show?
Yeah, the guy, yeah, Spangulia. Is it no?
Was
Was it?
that his name? No,
I don't know
that was
because
Bengali. That was
Spangulia.
the guy at nights. You
That
think
was
about the
yeah, that was somebody else, but he was kind of that same guy. But I'm like,
yeah, he with the
yeah,
makeup and the curly
yeah,
hair
we
and
just
stuff.
aged
Yeah, and
that.
he's
We
going
just dated ourselves, right? They're like, who? You know, those millennials are like, who?
right. Anybody who knows that guy's name from the Bozo show, can you DM us with that or put it on the
Put it
comments?
in the comments,
Because I
right?
really do not remember his name, but that I got a clear picture of him when I was thinking about demystifying the
Right.
pre-approval
Yeah, yeah,
process.
yeah. So, definitely one of the bozo characters and stuff. So yeah. A lot of people like, I was on the Bozo show. I didn't never get to the Bozo show.
I never got to go to the Bozo show either, and I'm still a little disappointed about that. But
Yeah.
we won't discuss that today. But what we will discuss is the mortgage pre-approval process and how we're going to take the mysteriousness out of that today. Make it easy for you.
All right, all right. Well, Lisa, this one's mostly about you, so I'm just here as the cheering squad and maybe throw a little questions your way and see what we could come up with. But what is it? What's a pre-approval? Like, I don't know. Like I'm off probably off script, but what's a pre-approval?
Yeah, you way off script, but that's okay. I'm a roll right with you. So that's actually a very good question, Dion. And it is something that I wanted to touch on anyway, because, we want to make sure that we understand, because a lot of times in our field, we do have a lot of terms that we use. And not everybody's familiar about what the terms are. They hear them thrown around. They may have an idea of what it might mean, but
Right.
they may not have an accurate understanding. So that's one of the things we do want to do is we want to make sure that people have a good understanding of exactly what it is that we're talking about. So a pre-approval Some people call it a pre-qualification, and some people see those as being two different things. And we'll discuss that in a second. But the first thing is, let's just talk about what people normally refer to as a pre-approval. So a pre-approval itself is really it embodies or encompasses the things that somebody like me, a lender, would do to make sure that you are ready to go out and buy a home. So it encompasses an application, it encompasses being able to review documents. It also encompasses, yes, your credit, not the fake credit that you send us from Credit Karma, but the
Right.
real credit that we actually pull as lenders. And it is something that is respected. When you tell somebody that you are pre-approved, now they know and they understand that you've gone through a certain process in order for a licensed professional to know what you actually qualify to buy. Now,
Right.
you want to because sometimes there's a distinguishing argument, so to speak, that goes back and forth, or maybe an understanding that can be on two different sides. So some people use the term pre-qualification, some people use the term pre-approval, and to them they mean two different things. Pre-qualifying, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. I think, to me, whether I call it a pre-qualification or pre-approval, my process is the same. So the strength behind what I give a person on paper is always valid. Now, some people will do what they refer to as a pre-qualification, and it doesn't really get into the nuts and bolts of the loan. So what they do is they will maybe take some information from you by phone. Based upon the information that you give them, they kind of do an estimate of what it is that you can go out and buy. Obviously, that's not as strong as have
Hmm.
what we refer to as a pre-approval, because none of that information is documented, none of that information is verified, none of the information has gone through what we use in the lending industry called the AUS system, which stands for Automated Underwriting System. None of it has gone through that either. And the AUS system, whether it's DU or LP, is what's going to drive the transaction. It lets you know right up front, before you even have it reviewed by an underwriter, as to what guideline wise you would be able to do in order to get the loan approved and to the closing table where you can actually get your keys.
Okay, right. And so a lot of times, a when I have a client and I've received like a pre-approval, qualification letter,
Yeah,
um, it's important because I may present this letter to the seller, the listing
the listing
agent,
agent.
and
Yeah.
right, and say, "Hey, my client is interested in making an offer." And I will use this pre-qualification, pre-approval letter to show that my client is serious about buying. They've gone through the process
Ding
in
ding ding
order,
ding 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 ding. There you go.
right, right, and that they're ready to be able to purchase because they've gone through the process. And so a lot of times they like, oh, is this a pre-qualification letter or is it a pre-approval letter? And
Mhm.
so when working with Lisa and I, we're, even though I think if Lisa, her letters may say pre-qualification because of a new standard.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Mhm.
I'm still in her thunder,
No,
but
not at all.
right,
you
but
you right on.
right, because of the new standard, her letters say pre-qualification. But I know as a realtor that's working with her and has worked with her for years that she doesn't just pre-qualify her clients, she's actually taking them through the whole approval process.
Right.
And when I'm presenting that letter, I explain that to my co-part, right, my the listing agent, and let
Yeah.
them know that this is actually a good client. They are qualified because we've done all the checks and balances for that. And a lot of
Absolutely.
times, a listing agent will call the lender and ask those same questions.
Hey, girl, did you really run that credit? Yes. Yes, I get that call.
Exactly, right? So,
And the cool thing about me, I think, is that I have the same thing I say is the same thing I put in writing. So
yeah.
when you get a pre-approval or you get a pre-qualification letter from me, it actually says right there on the letter what I did. So
Hmm.
it's going to tell you that I did a credit pull, that are verified income and assets. It's going to tell you that I ran it through AUS. So it's going to tell you all the things, and it also is going to give you an expiration date, because the expiration date is directly tied to the credit report, because credit reports do expire after a certain amount of time. So
Mm-hmm.
so it'll have all that on there. But I'm always open to a phone call. If you don't believe what I put in writing, I'll back it up with my mouth too.
Yeah, right, right. And then so that's really good, because we know that when we're presenting our offers, that we have something good to stand out for. So it's not just a pre-qual, the person that just kind of taken, jotted down some information and figured out some
Who it
numbers just
was.
based off of what what you said, because we know you all don't always tell us everything that's right.
That, that's true. And I don't even know if I would necessarily say that they don't tell us everything that's right, but sometimes they're not the industry professional. So
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. A very good example is that people will say, oh, ask somebody about income. Now you would think that'd be a simple enough question to answer. How much money do you make?
Yeah.
But as a lender, when I calculate income, it's not just how much money do you make per hour and how many hours do you work per week, but then that's just the beginning question. Then I have to delve into, okay, well, how long you been doing that, especially if it's less than 40 hours per week. How long have you been doing that? Are you guaranteed these hours? How, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of other things. Then I have to average your income from the previous 2 years. You see what I'm saying? So they
Hmm.
don't know to do all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know
No.
that.
No.
So
Right.
if they just say, "Oh yeah, I make $3,000 a month," but then when I calculate it, I can't actually use 3,000. I can only use 28, or
Hmm.
something like that. And that may not sound like a lot of money. Oh, it's only $150 difference. Well, $150 makes a difference when it comes to your debt to income ratio.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the 150 you need for that car note that you decided to get, that we told you not to do before you purchase a house.
Yes, but you actually, when you think about the pre-approval process, you actually started without us. You take the first step in it, because when you have that time, like right now, some of you that are watching may actually be taking one of your first steps, or the first part of your step in intake and goals, and doing your own pre-approval, by the fact that you start thinking about the decisions that you have to make as far as occupancy. You start thinking about down payment, where the money is going to come from. You start thinking about, are you looking for a multi-unit? Are you looking for a single family home? And you start thinking about all those different kinds of things, that actually, sets a little bit of a precedence for us, like before you even get to me, that when by the time I start talking to you to get the pre-approval, now I'm going to confirm what you can or cannot do, of course, because numbers never lie.
Right.
But as far as the initial part of that process, congratulations, because you probably have already started that. So now all you do is just keep on going, like they
Yeah.
said. And
Yeah.
what
Because
was
I
that
was
movie?
gonna
Ease on down. No,
Right, because I was gonna say, when you're starting this process, don't overthink it too, because a lot of times you get concerned about the numbers, you get concerned about the cost of the house. How am I gonna afford the down payment? Things like that, where we've already have some solutions for you. So
that,
don't worry about it. You think about those things, you prepare, and so that when Lisa asks you about your salary and your income and your debt and what bills you have, and things like that. When did you last purchase something large? She's
mhm.
able to actually, you're able to share that information and have some knowledgeable information for her. But don't overthink it, because we definitely have solutions. So,
Yeah, leave the overthinking to me.
yeah.
I can do that. And then after you got into that point, you're like, okay, I think this is a feasible thing. I can figure out down payment, or we can talk about options for down payment. I just want to live in a house with just me and my 17 children.
Right.
Okay. Now we get to the point where you actually will fill out the application that we just talked about. So we call it a 1003. It's the Uniform Residential Loan Application, or ERLA. It's another thing that people call it sometimes. Yeah, I'm just telling y'all that just because I don't know
Right.
why. because
We don't need to know that because I just knew it was an application.
it's the ERLA. So anyway, so if you ever hear
Uh,
somebody say, "Did you fill out a 1003?" That's what that is. It's the
right. We're like, yeah.
just say yes, right. And Dion is going to tell you at this point, once you fill out that ERLA, you got the application going. Dion will tell you at this point, that's usually when I get in your
Business.
business. That's right.
Exactly. And so don't be concerned about all the questions that she's gonna ask because this is information that's needed. Unfortunately, she gotta get all in your business. So
But you know what? It's for a good reason. One, you want me to be thorough. That's one thing, because we just talked about how, there are differences between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval to some people. The reason why it's that way is because you do have people that they don't do what I do. So they'll take somebody's information and just, oh, okay, thanks, and just write you out a letter. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be thorough. So you have the strength of knowledge and backed up numbers to be able to say, okay, when I place this offer, I'm placing my offer with confidence because didn't nobody just take my information, throw it to the wall and see what's going to stick? That's
right.
not how I operate.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody that's getting all in your business, like how I do, then you don't have to worry because you have confidence in the numbers that we
Yeah.
have on paper because we
I
have
had a client a little some time ago that went through one of these online banking, mortgage approvals. And
Mhm.
we went out, we watched, we viewed lots of houses, decided on a house. We actually placed an offer.
Okay.
Offer was accepted,
Ooh.
and then we started to work more closer with the lending company,
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
and the pre-qual wasn't qualified.
That's messed up.
Right. So it's best because it's best even if you have someone that you're working with and they just give you a pre-qual, don't run off with it and be excited. Just, hey, you didn't ask me my credit. You didn't ask me if you could run my credit. Did you run my credit? Did you look at ask some questions because
Yeah.
then they might say, "Oh, well, we didn't know you wanted us to go that far," or who it's difficult to understand why they wouldn't do it, but some people don't. And so then what happens is you're out with someone like me and you're wasting your gas and I'm wasting my gas, and we're looking at these nice beautiful houses and all we're doing is just dreaming. So yeah, we don't want to window shop. We want to actually shop for a home. So
Right. Absolutely. Yep. You definitely want to do that. It's no fun just to go and look and dream about it and you can't buy. So
no.
yeah.
So
Yep.
make sure you're getting um the best representation when you're working with a lender.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so once we complete that 1003, there will be a couple of things. I do usually ask for consent for some things at that point. I do something called a borrower certification or authorization. And on that, that gives me permission to be able to talk to people on your behalf, like entities, pretty much, like the credit bureau, to get your information for that. I may have to do a verification of employment. There are different things that are part of the entire process that will come a little bit later, but we collect the permissions for it right up front. So that's something to keep in mind. That's real simple. You just usually like click a little button inside the application itself. So, it says I give permission, consent, or whatever for you to be able to get in my business. I should put it on there just like that. This is the get in my business button.
Yes.
And so then once we do that, now we can get to the nitty gritty and start pulling some credit.
Okay.
Because people, just so you know, people shouldn't be just pulling your credit without your permission. This needs to be a conversation that you've already had. You talked about that it's okay to pull credit. So it is a discussion that we have. And once we've discussed it, then I'll actually go in and do the credit pull and figure out what are we actually working with? Now, as a lender, again, I'm thorough. I will do what they call a tri-merge pool. So that means I'm pulling from all three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, all three. I do all of them. And then what I do is I take the middle score of the three. So like, let's just say you have a 640, a 650, and a 660. Then that means that 650 is the number that's going to drive your transaction because that's the one that's right in the middle. So that's usually how that's going to work. I'm going to look at all three, use the middle score, and I'm going to analyze your credit. So we'll be looking at your utilization. Do you have $1,000 limit on your card and you spending 9,997 of it and 53 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to let you know you're a little bit overextended. And when I say little, I really mean lot. So you'll need to pay some of that down.
Hmm. So,
Um,
Lisa, you can't do a soft pull on my credit.
Not to give a pre-approval with, no.
Um,
Yeah.
um,
Usually what I'll do is I'll do a hard pull inquiry. So it is going to have an impact on your score. Like it'll take it down a few points, usually about maybe 12, 15 points, somewhere around there. We were going to ask something else. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't want everyone to be pulling my credit.
Then don't tell them, don't let nobody else pull your credit. Just let me do it. You don't have to let everybody. But not only that, like say for example, if I'm not the first person that you talk to, which I can't imagine why that would be the case. But if I wasn't, say, this is fantasy land and you didn't talk to me first. That's okay. So within a 30-day period, if you have, I would say up to three different credit pulls, that actually is okay because the bureau is going to look at it as only being one because
Mhm.
they know as Americans we like to comparison shop, and so your score shouldn't keep going down and keep going down and keep going down. It won't work like that. It'll be viewed as one pool.
Yeah. And they like to look at it as that you're shopping for the best mortgage, so they
Yeah.
allow you to pull it a couple of times. So
Yeah.
when you're concerned about, oh, I don't want to, keep pulling my credit, it's okay because it should adjust because they understand that you're shopping for a mortgage. As
Right,
long as
because it's
it
the same type
right.
of pool. It's
Yeah.
not like you got an automobile pool, then a mortgage pool, then a credit card pool. It's the same type of pool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, that was a very good question. Now, I will say kind of like a bonus in working with me is by me being a broker and having over 230 different lenders. When I pull your credit one time, just one time, all 230 plus of those lenders become viable options for me to be able to utilize and place your loan with that lender or that investor.
Okay. All right. So that's good.
That is good. I think so.
Mm.
So keep that in mind. We only need to do that one pool for me, and then we have a ton of options after we do that. So now, because we coming up to the end of the hour, the end of the 30 minutes, the half hour, I just want to rush through a couple of things really quick. Another part of me getting in your business is part of the credit, the income, and the assets. So we just talked about credit. Now let's talk about income a little bit more. So I will look for W-2s. If you're self-employed, I'm going to ask you for tax returns. That's different. But for most people, if you're not self-employed, if you're a W-2 employee, then that's all I need. I don't care, how many children you claimed on your taxes and you ain't never been, you're not a parent. I don't care about that. I'm looking to see how much income did you actually generate over the course of the year, and I can do that by way of reviewing your W-2. So I'll be looking
Right.
for W-2s. I'll be looking for bank statements to show your assets. And then I also look for paycheck stubs because that needs to correspond, obviously, with the money that you're making right now, because that's part of how I determine what you're qualified to buy.
One thing I want to throw in there is when she says that she's looking for extra W-2s when we're before the tax season. So when you get to the tax season and she needs your tax record, right? So W-2 is the pay stub, right? I just want to make sure because I don't want to confuse it. But when she does need to look at your tax preparations, because you were self-employed, you don't want them to write off everything to say that you don't have any money. not on the year that you're deciding to purchase a home.
Right. Not the year
Right.
before either.
Yes. Right. So
Yeah,
the
you
2
need your
years
budget going for about
self-employed.
2 years.
Yes, yes, right. So that's something that you want to make sure that you're considering as well. So
Definitely good point. And just if we don't go through an agency type of a program like a conventional or an FHA, and you're self-employed, you rolling a little bit of dough, you got the 10% that you can put down, then we can probably do a different kind of product. So for example, we may be able to do what they call a P&L, which stands for profit and loss. I can write loans based upon your profit and loss statement that's prepared by your CPA or your tax preparer or whatever. I can also do loans that would be what we call bank statement loans. So that means that we look at how much income, we take a portion of it, we won't take all of it, but we have a factor that we consider. And we'll take a portion of the income that you brought in by way of your bank statements. We'll look at your business bank statements and we'll use that to qualify you. Just in case you wrote everything off on your income tax return, we will still have other options. Again, that's part of the benefit of working with me as a broker, me having access to over 230 different lenders. It's part of that benefit. So, okay. So what did we talk about? Credit, we talked about income, we talked a little bit about assets, but maybe we should expound on that just a tad bit more in the next 60 seconds. So, bank statements. The biggest thing to probably remember about bank statements is that we normally don't care about what's going out. I remember I'm trying to think what guy was this. He didn't want to share his bank statements, and I think he didn't want to share them because he was doing some adult stuff. Like you, um, we don't really
yes,
care how
yes,
you spend your money. That's not really what we're looking for. We're actually more looking at the money that's coming into the account. That's really what we're looking for. So, if you go to the strip club, I'm not judging you. I don't go, but if that's what you do, I'm not judging you on that. Now,
mhm.
if somebody, if that same stripper, deposited $70,000 into your account, well, now I got a question. Now we're gonna need to talk. So it's really the large deposits. Those are the main things that we're looking for, and seeing some consistency as far as what's going on within your banking account. So something to keep in mind there. That was my 1 minute on that. And the last part of this, I think I'm going to skip through some of this, but because we have like a whole little list, a checklist that we're going to do to go through with you guys tonight. But what we do from that point on, basically after I collect all that data, I analyze it and figure out what makes the most sense for what loan for you. So I don't work for the lender, I work for you. So when I analyze all that information, now I'm looking to see, okay, based upon this scenario for this particular person, what would be the best loan product for them? What options do we have? Are they is a down payment assistance program going to be suitable? Would that allow them to still be able to buy the amount of house that they want? Do we need to look at credits? And we'll start looking at kind of the piecing the little details together to make it make sense for you to be able to get, as close as possible, given the market, to what it is that you really want. Sometimes you have to keep in mind that when you are looking for a home, and I'm sure Dion can attest to this, you may not find the home that you actually dreamed about, but you find what you need in order to make what you dreamed about become a reality.
Right. Yes. Especially because there's always a time where maybe we might not be able to get the amount of money in the beginning that you want. So a lot of times it's about a starter home. Start
Mhm.
here and
Yep.
then stay there for a few years, build equity in that home, and then you can now use that home to sell, get money out, and use that to help purchase the house that you really are wanted previously. So just because you buy a house does not mean that you have to stay there forever. Right. Our parents may have stayed in their home 25 years.
Yeah.
I've
We'll do
been
that
here a
no more.
long time. Right.
We'll do
Yeah.
that
Right. So you don't have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are at 6:31. I think it's time to wrap up another water cooler Wednesday.
All right. So we are so excited that you have joined us. And if you have any questions, ready to get started with your pre-approval, you can always contact Lisa White at the number below, and she can help you get started with your pre-approval. If you have some questions about real estate and homes and the different types of homes, neighborhoods, things like that, I can help you as the realtor, get you started as far as the houses, that type of homes that you want to purchase. I'm always here for you. We are basically so. And we want to just say thank you. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Right. Do us a favor. We ask you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share with a friend.
Share. Yeah, tell
Right.
some of your friends.
Yes.
Y'all
Let
come
them
and do
know.
a water cooler Wednesday watch party.
Yes. 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 So we're excited. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.